Hey, we're here. Episode 54. How are you, Vince?
I'm doing all right. I'm so glad Monique just showed up because I didn't think me and you could talk about interior design for a whole entire hour. So I was a little worried
I
there.
know. Hi, guys. Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well,
It's
doing
been a
well.
wild morning for me this morning. Oh my gosh.
That's every day in the mortgage business. Every day. Every
Mm,
day is a wild day.
understand.
Yeah, before a buyer falls in love with a house, they fall in love with the feeling,
Hmm.
right? They go in and they have a feeling, and some say the reason why they have that feeling is because of people like you, the stager. It's not necessarily the granite countertops or the smell of fresh paint. It's what you actually, you know, what would we say? Basically propose as an opportunity for someone to how they live and where they live in. And so, I wanted to spend some time today. It's kind of actually it's probably my first time talking to like a home stager, and just learning what a home stager is, the process, how it works. And I do have some stats to kind of go along with it today. So I am because I'm a numbers guy and I'm always looking forward to the stats. So definitely wanted you to go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And so, Monique, let us know who you are.
Absolutely. Hi, guys. Again, good afternoon. My name is Monique Hendrix. I'm the owner of Couture Decor Interior Design and Home Staging. Couture Decor launched in 2013 and has been going strong ever since.
Awesome. And now, are you just local in the Chicagoland area, or do you do other states, or how does that work in that regard?
Yep. So Illinois, Indiana, those are the two key areas that I've targeted since they're
Mhm.
closer to me. So that's where I am normally.
Got it. And then is it you by yourself, or do you have a team of stagers that work with you?
Yeah, it's myself and my business partner, Nicole. And then we have a host of movers that we depend and rely on because we're not lifting anything.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's take it step by step.
Yeah.
So, what is a home stager? And what do you guys actually do?
Mhm.
Dante, repeat that.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't
So
hear
a
us.
home stager is someone that comes in and, okay. Yeah, because you did kind of break up a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, what does a home stager do?
Yes. So a home stager basically comes in after the home has either been remodeled or decluttered, the seller has moved out, they're ready to list their home for sale on the market. So what the home stager does is we come in and do a consultation. And with that consultation, we figure out with the seller what their key points. Normally what we do is a 4-room main stage, which we target the 4 main rooms of the home, the living room, the dining room, the master bedroom, and the family room, if applicable, just to kind of be able to hone in on the key points. So what we do is we go in, we do a consultation. We get a feel of the space via measurements, pictures, videos, and things like that. And what we do is we just go in and set it up to whereas the buyer can actually have an imagination now. Their imagination has been filled now that the furniture is in place. So we just come in and make it all pretty and prepare it for sale.
Do you feel like the imagination from a buyer perspective is gone, and that's the reason why staging is so important now?
Yeah, and in hindsight, a lot of spaces, as we know, you can have a $2 million home or you can have a $200,000 home. Sometimes a buyer can't visualize within the space what to do. So what they're doing is looking at what they can't do or how this can be done, and it turns them off. Even if the bathroom's amazing, the kitchen's amazing, they just don't have an idea where can I place the couch, how can I place the bed. So we go in and help fulfill that families can gather, where their beds can be, where their sofas should be positioned.
Gotcha. And then Is the all the furniture, is it bought? Are you buying it at a Target or Walmart, or is it just-
Oh, so well, some pieces we have procured over the past couple of years, and then most recent months, we tend to kind of shop all around, whether it be Target, Bed Bath and Beyond online, Home Goods, a plethora of stores, Coaster, a really amazing outlet that we use. So the furniture is in our warehouse, ready to go. We don't purchase furniture unless it's necessary for a specific product. So we have it readily available.
And how do you feel like staging a home? The type of what are you looking for? I mean, what are you hoping that occurs? Obviously, by staging the house, what is the listing agent, I guess, hiring you for? What would you hope that comes out of it?
That they sell fast. That's the ultimate goal, right? That they sell fast, and then they sell for asking or a little bit above in the perfect world.
Yeah,
So to get that property sold as quick as possible, because no one likes to stay on the market for 30, 60.
It's true. They said that a stage home can sell up to 3 times faster than a non-stage
There's a
home.
lot of in and out there.
Yeah. Are you having that, Vince? Are you seeing it too, or?
No, I mean, I hear you fine. I see it on her end. I was going to say maybe log in, log out. Try. Can we do that? Pull her back from the studio?
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes technology, boy, we learn a lot.
We're getting there.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. Staging a home, like I said, a stage home can sell up to 3 times faster than a non-stage home. That's what the stats say.
That's correct.
I'd agree with that.
That's correct.
And then they said the average staging investment. They said the average staging investment tends to be about 1 to 3% of an asking price, as far as a cost.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's probably the decision that the seller has to make is, what's my return on investment? So how do you broach that topic, or are you just working with the listing agent?
I typically work with the listing agent. I just got a stage yesterday where it was directly through the seller. She understood the importance. She had been on the market for approximately 45 days. The one contract that she did receive, or offer that she did receive, was about $25,000 less. So she reached out to me, actually, the seller did. So I typically do work solely with the agent, and they correspond with their sellers, but there's some cases where I will work directly with the seller too.
Got it.
And basically what they understand. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. So, I mean, just, overall, just from the return on the investment, it's like, why, so I'm thinking, if I'm selling a house for $450,000, the cost generally is going to be somewhere around $4,500 to $9,000 to stage that home. So, just talk about that return on investment that you look to try to provide.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, you never want to give anyone any promises. You never know what's going to happen, and you don't want to be responsible for saying this is actually going to happen. But studies do show it is a value added to the property. Again, allowing for the stage to speak for itself. I'll tell my agents, and some just know, they know. But for those who are not sure as to how it's going to actually benefit their seller, I break it down to them such as follows. Imagination. Again, a lot of buyers can go into a house, and then another house, and then another house, and then 10 more houses after that. What makes your property stand out? They've seen 20 homes in one day. So you want to make sure you want to set your listing apart from all other listings by having it staged. So now there's that thing of home. So what the return of it, that return on investment really shows that, hey, we sold this house in 20 days, and that's happened. So there was a home that I had an agent call me that had been sitting on the market in Country Club Hills for about 90 days. So I staged it Monday, it sold Friday. So some people really do understand the importance all on their own. But the return on investment is basically fast sale, sometime more money.
Got it. Yeah, I was curious on that. And then, so how do you also keep up to date with like just current styles or different models per se, right? I mean, what was in 2013 is probably not in 2025. So how does that kind of go about?
Mhm. Yeah, I do a lot of HGTV, online stores, merchandise smart showrooms. I'm constantly in areas where the trend is changing, and I'm right there on the forefront of it to see what's hot and what's not anymore. So I keep myself as educated as possible with the newest trends.
Believe it or not, my mother-in-law went to school as a interior decorator, designer. There's a
Hmm.
difference, I would say,
Okay.
though. Can you talk about the difference?
Yes, the difference between home staging is, again, it's furniture propping. This is not the furniture that stays in the home. Now you can't buy it. Is create an ambiance, which is the same for interior design, but the difference is with the interior design, you get to pick your own finishes. You get to say, okay, this is what my style is. Even though in staging you can do that, but interior design is just a little more in depth. You get exactly what to accomplish with different furniture textures, textiles, and things like that, because that's handpicked for the actual client on the interior design side. Staging is temporary, normally last anywhere from, we do a stage for 2 to 3 months, and then we come pick it up. The interior design, you get to keep it,
True.
basically.
So the contracts
Okay,
usually
there you go.
contracts usually last for about 2 to 3 months, you would say?
Yeah, staging is 2 to 3 months. And if you needed to stay 2 to 3 months, but contractually we do a 2 to 3 month stage.
Yeah, I got some stats. They said 81% of buyers say staging makes it easier to visualize a property as their future home. And they say that 85% of stage homes sell for roughly about 23% over list price. So sound about right?
That is correct.
Some good stuff
Sound
here.
about right.
So
Yeah.
so how do you determine the right style for a home?
Okay, so you broke a little bit. I only caught the end, but it sounds like you said, how do I determine the right style for a home?
Yes. Are you
Was that
are
your
you
question?
are
Okay.
yeah,
So basically, if you've got a contemporary home, yeah. So if you have a contemporary home, you don't want to go in with traditional furniture. You want to match the style of the home. If you have a more traditional home, you don't want to go in there with contemporary furniture because you want to outsell the home with the sure. So you blend styles. So that's how I go in approach when I'm going to use certain furnishings. I blend with the actual style of the home.
Hmm. And what would you say as of right now is in for homes currently?
I see a lot of modern, contemporary, very organic, clean lines. That's what's really in the light tone woods, the bushel fabrics, real, just very modern, very clean line, neutral is what's hot right now.
Hmm. Is there certain colors too?
Yeah, so basically the lighter tone woods, the greens are in, creams are in, oranges are in, kind of fall-y, that's in. Yeah,
Awesome.
those are really hot colors right now.
All the colors behind her,
Isn't that
basically, all the earth tone colors behind her are all the colors that are in style.
that looks like a
Mm-hmm.
cabin? I was gonna say, Monique, are you in a cabin? Because that looks like a cabin.
Yes, the light blues, the gold, those I don't think those are ever gonna lost you.
I think we lost you.
In my office. It's my
Oh, wow.
home office.
You know, technology is always one of those interesting things. You know, I can't call it. Yeah, it's one of those situations sometimes with technology, depending on the thickness of the
Sometimes it works
walls.
for me, sometimes it doesn't. You know,
Yeah.
it is what it is. That's why we do this live, right?
That's why we do it live. Sometimes, you know, we appreciate obviously that information about home staging. It is interesting, but it makes so much sense when you look at the stats. I mean, the stats suggest that, you know, you're going to sell your house for more and you can sell your house quicker. You know, staging the house might be something that people need to reconsider.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, in today's world, people can't visualize everything. You don't come into some of the houses, you don't use, you put offers in with sight unseen, or you put it on your hot list and then you get there and it's a completely different thing because it's not what you thought it looked like in the pictures. I agree. Staging is important. The issue is it's an added cost, right? And it's comes down to a cost of doing business. And at the end of the day, time's money when you have your home listed. And if you put your best foot forward and you stage a home, I think you do get the best return. But, you know, before you can actually stage the house, you got to declutter. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and I know we didn't get to that. Not that we're doing this on your outline, but in today's world, it's me and you talking about interior design. We're in trouble, right? So, you know, let's just default to the whole cleaning up the area, you know, shampooing the carpets, prepping your house. You know, the garage is understood if there's a bunch of boxes in there, which means you have to declutter your house. You have to declutter your closets. More importantly,
Sure.
you know, you got to get rid of the stuff that doesn't look, it's old, or, hey, it wouldn't be in their house now, or, hey, I can move this dresser out of here, or whatever it is to make the room look bigger. They're all the little things you need to do, right? I mean,
Correct.
You know, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know how to design a house, but I'm big on definition of spacing, right? So, you know, if you got a long couch and you want a sectional, you know, and divide it off from your living room or your dining room and just show that visual differences in spacing.
Yeah.
I know we didn't get to ask her the question of, you know, why we decorate in threes and different things like that we were joking around. And for those who heard us.
No, she just came back on. Let's ask her. She just came on.
Yeah, it's
Monique,
got
any
a
better?
lot of, yeah, you guys.
It's just one of those days.
Yeah, you cut out. Yeah, so I couldn't gauge what you were saying. I know it was some good stuff. I heard decluttering in there, which is important, a very, very vital piece of that when it comes to staging. I like to come in with a clean slate.
Well, you know, obviously from a selling perspective, yeah, we can. It's just it might be you know, just one of those days. But yeah, it was one of those situations where, you know, I think a lot of people are trying to be fiscally responsible as well as, you know, just looking out for the penny. And so, you know, we're just, you know, debating, you know, obviously the stats are on your side. Staging works. You know, that's why there is an industry, that's why it's a business, and that's why you've been out doing for 12 plus years. But obviously there's a lot of people that will try to do it themselves. You know, shampooing the carpets, you know, decluttering, you know, trying to, you know, clean it up as best they can. Are there some home remedies that you would suggest, or do you know, what would you say to that?
Well, please declutter. Please shampoo your carpets. Please make certain that if you are not going to do a remodel, you're changing out tiles and things, just do a really good deep clean. You know, get rid of all the cobwebs and the dirt in the corner and the grout to be cleaned on the tub and tiles and floors. Just make certain that you can present it as best you can before a stager comes in.
Would you suggest, hey, let me put it on the market first, Monique. I'm going to put it on the market and see what happens.
Cluttering, like you mentioned, you said something about the garage.
She's frozen.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was like, should I put it on the house? Should I put my house on the market first for like 30, 45 days, see what happens? And then if it doesn't, necessarily sell, then I'm looking for a stager, or is that kind of too late in the game?
I want to shake my head the minute you started to say wait, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's no waiting in this game. If you go and list a house and then you go back and stage it, all those first buyers are not
You
coming
missed
back,
out. Yeah.
right? I mean, we always say this, and granted, we're not the realtors. Your first offer is usually your best offer in the marketplace. Same thing. When you're going to list your house, you want to put your best foot forward. If you are going to stage it, stage it.
Yeah. I mean, the reality and the reason why I thought this was interesting is because our buyer that buys a house will be a seller at one point in time, right? Whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, most times people are going to at least move and buy again, over at least 3 to 4 times in their life. Sometimes some people are more than that. They've been in, at least, multiple transactions, but, so it's important. And we walk you through it, right? We want to help you from buying the house. We want to stay with you. You're going to sell the house. Then we're going to help you buy the next house. So, establishing that relationship and having some knowledge and having those contacts are important for us, just as our network goes, because, that's what it is. But it is, fascinating to, spend the money up front for the long term. I read a book about appreciation of a home, and they talked about, prior to actually selling your house, you should look into potentially just getting a home inspection, right? And we talked about that with, yeah. So, I mean, a home inspection could be a good thing as well. It's like, hey, well, have this, person go through your house, have a home inspector, and mark down all the items that need to be addressed. You really have to sell your house and treat it like a business. It really has to be a mindset. Yeah, it can't just.
We've done that all the time, right? Tell everyone what's wrong with it up front. They're still going to do their own inspection, but you've already put one out there, right?
Correct.
Or, I mean, it comes down to you want to put your best foot forward when you're trying to sell your house. That's what gets you the highest dollar.
Correct.
Right? I mean, there's nothing else to it, right? And some alternatives maybe to staging is offer a concession, right? Let's say you're selling your parents' house and it's been in probate, it's been empty for a year, it's got old furniture in there. Clean it out and stage it, right? And then offer a remodeling credit of maybe $5,000 or something when it needs the work. Just say it up front. The buyer's gonna realize it when they walk the property.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we have that focus on putting the work in and having that understanding. Like, it can't be just an emotional, like, hey, I want to sell my house. You're going to have to do some steps. There's some steps that you're going to have to take just before that sign actually goes out on the on the front yard. Monique, you're back.
Hi. I missed you guys. No, I've been here the whole time.
No, Monique, I got a question for you. I was joking with Dante on this. Why do we decorate or why do we decorate in stages of threes? Like, I've always been told, like, when you put pictures on the wall, it's supposed to be 3 pictures. It's supposed to be 3 end tables or knick-knack tables and coffee tables. Why is that?
Less is more. Less is more. Now, in some instances, depending upon the size of the room, you're probably going to have maybe more than 3 pieces of art on the wall. One, we don't want to put too many holes in those walls. 2, less is more. You don't want to overclutter space. You want to make sure they are eyes going to go here and here. That's just kind of like the circle. It's just like the 3-point site. You have blue and 3 on the other side. So 1 on each side, and be a tall lamp on the other side. The 3-5-7 room.
Gotcha. And another question: in a smaller room, I've always heard sometimes. Let's say you have a third bedroom that's kind of small. Let's say it's 10 by 10, and you're going to use that as a dining room. I was always told, put the biggest possible table you could put in that room to just define the space to what it actually is. What's your opinion to that?
So your first part of the question I couldn't catch because we kind of cut out. So go ahead and repeat that for me so I can answer properly.
So let's say one of the bedrooms wants to be used as a dining room, as a formal dining room. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I kind of cringed. But yeah.
Okay. So if they want to use if the house is in need of, or they want to use a space to define as a formal dining room, is your opinion to use that as potentially two different things, or put the largest possible table in the smallest room, even though it may make it seem smaller, but you're defining the space as to what it's for?
Oh no, I would never overcrowd a space with a large table. I would never do
Okay.
that.
No problem. I mean, I'm just asking
if
questions.
I can get a living room dining combo out of that living room, that's all I would do. That would be my answer to them. I would try to help them pivot. Say sometimes people don't understand going in what it entails. That's why they hire a professional. So of course I wouldn't want to put a dining room in a bedroom. I would figure out if there's another space where we can put that dining room versus putting a 8-person table in the bedroom. That'll really not sell the space, because now they're asking questions. You know, this place doesn't have a dining room at this price point, or why would you put a dining table this big in this small space? So you want to always make it make sense.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And as far as the industry, I'm sure it's big. I'm curious, Monique. I mean, do you run into a lot of competition? I mean, are you fighting with another stager for a certain particular property, or is it kind of just more just, hey, education, so we can do this part of the transaction?
Yeah, I've been in bidding wars before. I've been in the space over the summer where they outbid me, you know, and that happens, and that's okay. My services are priced right, because I do know that there's a lot of competition out here. Some, you know, you kind of get what you pay for kind of thing. I always let people know that they want to go $2,000 less, and I've walked away from contracts because it just didn't make sense. So yeah, there's competition out there, but it's enough for to go around for everybody, if you will.
Sure. And then I'm curious, is it easier just dealing with the seller directly, or is it your relationship with the realtors?
Majority of my relationships are with the realtors. Mentioned earlier, you do get, sometimes I'll get a seller like I did yesterday. That one just came out the blue. It's great. So those, honestly, I like to work with the sellers preferably, because they're the one holding the bag, if you will. They're the ones that have to sign the check for couture to quarter come in. So those are better. But majority of the business transactions is handled through the agent.
And they kind of consigliaries, they're kind of the intermediaries from to you and the seller, or do you eventually speak to the seller?
Yeah, I typically, again, it's mostly the agent that I'm dealing with, because they're the liaison, their client. That's their client. The agent is, the agent, and the seller would be my client. But the agent is the one typically that reaches out to me to say, hey, I have a listing. I need it to be staged. After they've done their conversation with the seller, kind of help me with that little lightweight work, get that part out the way.
So I have this stat here, and I'm curious to get your take on this. It says, and this is from the NAR, National Association of Realtors. It says only 21% of listings are staged, and only 10% will say that they'll stage if the listing is difficult. So why so little, when obviously we talked about earlier how much success you see with the staged home? Why is that number still so small?
It's okay. So what I am trying to launch now is, you know how agents have a seller's checklist, right? I'm trying to encourage agents to have staging on there as not an option, but optional. Meaning forefront, like you mentioned earlier, waiting a month or two just to see if a house is going to stage. People are doing that all across because they don't want to necessarily put that money forward. But what they fail to realize, of course, we know it's an emotional thing that they're doing. They're selling home. for most sellers, but they've lost 20, 30 days now with this home being on the market, which means now you've lost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in that 2-month time span being on the market when you could have hired a stager. So I'm trying to have agents incorporate that into their sellers list, their sellers checklist, so that those numbers can actually rise.
And,
but people don't want to. They don't understand the importance. So yeah.
Yesterday we were talking about opportunity costs and for lack of waiting, and today you're talking about carrying costs. You know, the fact that you're carrying the mortgage costs, the taxes and insurance costs, whatever other expenses there are with holding that property for the long period of time, when you could have just paid the money up front and potentially, and not guaranteed, potentially have the house sell a little bit quicker. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. I'm going to do some housekeeping notes now, and we got some questions here, and let's take it from there. So this episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, call Epic today. That's 708-905-5300. That's 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now, if you need help as far as getting pre-approved for a mortgage, if you need help as far as a step-by-step playbook on how to allow your house to create wealth for you, then you need to check out my book, The Ultimate Mortgage Guide. It's available on Amazon, The Ultimate Mortgage Guide. It's available for you. Also a good book for the holidays. And then after,
how come we can't see it back there today? What's going on?
I know my prop is not here. I think it was sold, so I don't know my prop. I got to go get another one.
You're gonna talk to your publisher. You need a new copy.
I know.
I should have did. I should have had my prop up in my backdrop. Got this big tall banner of me.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you got pictures too, you know, if you have pictures, you have the capability. We could put it on stage. So if you have some slides. Google Slides will allow you to do that right there. So that'd be nice to see some of your work. But after the show is over, for those that are on LinkedIn and Facebook, please go to our website. Our website for the listings, but we want you to go to YouTube and check out our most recent Epic Spotlight podcast. It was with David Prescott and Michael Ashley. They are the authors of Creative Destruction, as they reveal explosive insights on how ESG policies could erode your retirement, stifle business innovation, undermine American energy, and boost China's AI dominance. Discover the global risks, secret agendas, and how individuals and businesses can fight back. Don't miss this eye-opening discussion that we had with David Prescott and Michael Ashley. It was a good conversation. And we do have some preferred listings on my website, www.danteroyster.com, but we'll talk about them right now. A couple new listings that we did end up getting yesterday was 8442 East Kingston Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, going for $280. Contact Evelyn Wood, 773-718-9742. We have 5533 South Menard, Chicago, Illinois, going for $369,980. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. Contact Sebastian Kupiec, 773-430-8988. We have 4634 Deepwood Court, Bowie, Maryland. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, going for $367,500. Contact Phil Dyson, 443-280-1842. And we have 2602 Hummingbird Lane in Humboldt, Texas, 3-bed, 2-bath, going for $284,444. Contact CJ Jones at 281-356-0203. All those listings and more listings are available on my website, DanteRoyster.com. All right, we do have some questions and some shout outs, so I appreciate that. So let's just take them one at a time. What is the biggest mistake sellers make when they skip staging? What would you say, Monique?
Yeah, they actually end up potentially staying on the market longer and spending more money with having been on the market longer, 2-3 months, waiting for an actual contract that they actually would want to sign. But losing money, that's the biggest thing that they're doing, is just losing out on the money.
All right, next question here. Joey writes, do you think staging really makes that big of a difference in today's market? What do you think, Monique?
The market trend, homes have been sitting on the market 30, 40, 60, 90, 100 plus days. Yeah, staging definitely makes a huge difference, even in today's market. So
Let
much
me ask,
competition out here.
let me ask you something. Let's take that question and let's push it backwards. 4 or 5 years ago, when the pandemic hit and rates were, at all-time lows and things were just, flying off the shelf, 7 months, or excuse me, 7 days, 5 days, contracts in 1 day. Did you have, was there a slowdown for you? Did listing agents feel, hey, we don't need this because it's just going to sell regardless of how it looked?
It was in the middle. I did see that there was some serious pushbacks because they are selling quicker because the rates were lower, so they didn't have a big struggle. So yeah, there was a little freak out moment that I had from time to time.
Sure.
That time.
Well, when I'm thinking
Yeah.
about when I'm thinking about your industry and just your business, when rates are higher or when there's a lack of demand, which we haven't really seen in quite some time, but if there's ever
Right.
just a dull moment, I can see your type of business flourishing. Those are, because now we want to really make this house pop and sell. And, when it's multiple, multiple listings in an area, how do I distinguish this one versus the next one? That's where staging really would come into play, I would imagine.
I agree.
I'd kind of
want to set yourself apart from all the other listings.
What do you say, Vince?
I was going to try and say the lower number of the percentage of houses being used staging is probably growing now because of the market conditions. And maybe it may make sense to stage the home more than to knock down the price or reduce the, do a price adjustment, but do it up front and stage the property and look at it that way, right? Like, again, when you walk into the house, it's the first impression, regardless of what furniture's in there, whatever it is. If you bought a house before, when you walk into that house, whether or not it's the house you want. So staging helps from the standpoint of a perception. Right. Your pictures look better. It draws more attention to it when it's online or however you want to look to market it.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking on saturated areas that may have more for sale signs up. How do you distinguish that one property versus the next? A stage home might look better, and you could sell it for more versus something else. And I know sometimes I've had buyers like, do I get the furniture? Do I get to keep the furniture? They always want to know that.
Remember, we can always write it in the offer. It can always be written in the offer.
True. Yeah. Rochelle writes, I'm curious, what's the first thing a stager looks for when walking into a home?
The first thing I look for is the aesthetics of the actual property. Does it need to be under construction before I come in there? Because you don't want to put, beautiful things on top of rigged floors. So I do a lot of interior design too. So what happens if I go in and do a consultation and I know that these floorboards are creaking or they're lifting or the carpet staying, I look for ways to make certain that I'm telling the seller, hey, listen, you may want to check off some of these points before we come in here and start the stage.
So you're not really affiliated with any type of construction per se. We were talking about home inspections and home inspectors like saying, hey, this needs to be replaced or, this wood needs to be refinished, what have you. That's something that would have to be done prior to you really putting your expertise. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Okay. And I've been in situations. I'm in one now, for example, in Dyer, Indiana, where this house has to undergo a complete rehab before we even come in there and do anything. So the first thing I look at is what it is that may need to be done, if any. And if nothing needs to be done, the main thing I'm looking at is what can go here, what can go there. How can I make this look even more beautiful than it already looks?
Got it. Yeah, we had an episode with Dennis Greco who's a licensed general contractor, and we talked about
Mhm.
walking through properties prior to selling the homes, and trying to
Mhm.
take care of some of those items. So then that way it reduces some of that negotiating tactics that maybe a buyer would do and say,
Mhm.
hey, all this is still messed up, and I want a $10,000 deduction or what have you. So
Mhm.
it's good to know the sequence. So we got home improvements
Mhm.
first, and then staging the home second. So that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Mhm.
How long does the average staging process take from start to finish? Great question, Danny.
About 5 hours, depending upon as I've knocked some out in 2 hours, and then some I've taken like 7 hours, depending upon the size. But it's always done in that day.
In
Whole
that day.
house.
Wow. So
Mhm.
walk me through the
Yep.
process. I mean, so we signed the contract. You're going to stage my
Mhm.
house. What happens from there?
So I go pick out the furniture, get it loaded onto the truck, drive up to your driveway, and start to unload and put the pieces where they're supposed to go. It's like 1, 2, 3. People that are amazed how fast I get done, but I've done it so long, it's just off the top of the head, I guess.
And then as far as like staging a home, so we were talking about decluttering, right? But I mean, I
Mhm.
imagine I have a kitchen table. I imagine that someone else has a couch. All these things would have to be, I'm assuming, removed, because maybe they provide a certain look, or let's say I smoke, right? And so my couch smells like cigarette butts, per se. So what are we doing with the existing furniture?
Well, I've actually have been in situations where I've used a client's existing dining table. I've used their existing sofa. I've changed, and it looked completely different. They couldn't believe it. I've used a sofa that was in the family room, put it in the living room, added some accent chairs and tables and artwork and accessories around it. So there, if it's a piece that I would say goes with the space, I will have them keep it there, and they're excited about that because they don't have to worry about moving it.
Got it.
Hmm.
Are we putting it in the but if I had to move it, are we putting it in the garage? Are we or are you recommending
We're
them to get
putting it in the
storage?
garage if you got to move it, right? You got to get it out of the house.
Yeah, wherever, storage, garage, family members' home. I don't know. Just get it out of there.
Got it. Got it. All right, next
Mhm.
question here.
Yeah.
How do you convince sellers that staging is worth the investment? Go ahead, Monique.
I like to walk them through statistics. I, hmm?
Oh no, I said go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I like to walk them through. Oh, okay. I like to walk sellers or agents through the statistics to show them what has happened. And I have my own. So what happens is when I have a listing that was on the market for less than 30 days, I show them that has staged and sold within 30 days. So that's how I'm able to somewhat convince them. They have their mind made up, but it takes a little bit of nudging sometimes. Yeah, so I'll show them what I've done and how long it's set on the market and sold, how quickly it's sold.
Now, are you soliciting listing agents at this point in time, or you just relying heavily on just referrals from people, existing clients that you've already worked with?
No, I'm soliciting actually. As you were mentioning those listings, I was typing them in
Yeah.
to contact some agents. If I see listings on the market for a long period, 30 days, to me, 30 days is too long. So if I see a listing on the market for 30 days, I'm sending you out an email.
That's awesome.
I'm calling your phone. I'm hounding. Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to
Yeah.
DanteRoyster.com, you can see all the preferred listings that we
Mhm.
have. So, I, like you,
Mhm.
work with realtors, and what I, obviously with our relationships, I try to help them, sell these homes because those sellers will have to become buyers somewhere. and we're licensed in multiple states. So, you know, if someone's moving from Illinois to Florida, we can help them. If they're moving from Illinois to Georgia or to Texas, you know, we're licensed in multiple states. So, you know, that was the whole premise. But, you know, it is interesting. So, yeah, I definitely recommend if you go to the website, you can reach out to those listing agents and you can see how long some of these homes have been out there. And some of them, you know, we get tired of saying them. I know Vince, like, I've heard that. You know, once Vince knows, he knows the address, I know it's been too long.
I know one thing. You started off with 3 places in Jacksonville. You're down to only 1. So those new homes in Jacksonville are selling. So that's a good thing for everybody.
Yes. Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida, things are moving. So appreciate that. Next question. What's the toughest home you've ever had to stage, and how did it turn out? Thanks, Richard.
Ooh, the toughest home. Let me think. I don't know if I had a tough one. You know, when you have a passion for something, all challenges aren't bad challenges. They're another way for you to enhance your craft. I got to think back on that. I've had some agents from you know where, but
no, tell us, what do you mean by you know where? No, okay.
Well, you know what I'd be interested in knowing, Monique, is how did you get in? How did you start this business? How did you get into this business?
Mm-hmm. So repeat that. I lost you.
Oh, so I said, you know, how did you get into the business? I mean, you know, it's not. Did you go to school for this? Like, how did you get into this?
It's such a weird thing. Back in 2013, you know how when you just have this passion inside of you and you don't know where it's coming from and how I got there. I used to stay on HGTV 24 hours, 7 days a week. My sons, who are 34, 28 and 23, they laugh like, Mom, I remember when you would just have HGTV on in every day. It's just a passion of mine and I couldn't shake it. And so I went back some certifications. I went and got made a website, got my LLCs, my EINs, and I just went from there. And of course, it's set for a minute. As you know, starting a business, sometimes it'll sit as you work through all the kinks and build up all the clientele. But it was, you know, even transferring into corporate America, it just was something I couldn't shake. I couldn't shake it. I knew that this is something that I could do, period. And
Were you doing it?
God blessed me with it. That's the long and short of it. God blessed me with this talent. Hmm?
Were you doing this initially part-time and then moved into full-time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Started off part-time in 2013 because I needed to get some clientele, but I also still needed to make sure I paid the bills. So I had to do it, you know, intermittently while working, and it just grew from there.
Awesome. And when did you really know you had something?
Totally it. Yeah.
And then when did you know you really had something?
Yeah, back in 2012. I used to do just family members, spaces, bedrooms here, living rooms here. And it was just to do it. I would go inside their homes and I would say, oh, this don't look right here. Let me switch things around. And how the heck did you just do that in 10 seconds? I don't, it just comes naturally. So I knew back then it was something I wanted to do was a hobby. But then my mom and my aunt, they said, you know, why don't you try to do a profession? But I'm not great. And she said, no, don't doubt yourself. You're that good. So then I just went out and did a little marketing and met a couple of clients and had a lawyer that lived not too far from here. And she wanted me to interior design her home, did that. And the agent came shortly thereafter. That's where I started with interior decorating and interior design.
Got it. That's great. And let's ask this question right here. What's your number one tip for agents working with stagers?
Start from the very beginning of the listing, and list in a stager to save yourself time on the market.
I like that. Yeah,
that's my number one tip. from the
No, I
beginning.
like that. I like that. Like I said, I've known of staging, and to the market, NAR, reporting of only 21% of listings are staged, but staged homes sell 3 times quicker. So it is maybe just a lack of education, lack of knowledge that people are aware of this. I know there's people that are frightful of the cost, because that's always a concern. I mean, how do you kind of go over
Yeah.
the cost with them?
Well, I do a lot of people think that they have to have the entire home staged. Now, it's a preference. If it's a preference, by all means, but you don't have to have the entire house staged, which can cut cost. You want to tackle the 4 main rooms of home. Like I mentioned earlier, living room, master bedroom and a kitchen, dining room, and if there is an applicable family room in the lower level, those are the key areas to hone in on. And that's what kind of helps them guide them out of fear of the cost, because that helps cut costs for them.
Now, I know you probably have competition, other home stagers, but you also have competition with listing agents, right? Don't they try to put their hat in the ring too and just stage themselves?
They do. They do.
So,
They do. They do. Yeah, and I like that one little couch in the corner with no table, rug, or plants or artwork. That's cute. But sometimes they do do a good job, so I won't take that from them. But for those who just can't handle the influx, say for example, you don't have a warehouse, you don't feel like going to the store and buying a whole house full of furniture just to put it in one home. If you got 3 or 4 listings on the market, what about those? So yeah, they do try, and some do succeed. God bless. And this listing sold quicker than ever. I suggest wholeheartedly enlisting in a professional stager to do so. Couture decor, preferably. Yeah.
yeah, me and Vince have never been realtors, right, Vince? I'm not a realtor. Are you? Yeah.
No.
But we have realtor relationships, and obviously we have realtors listening to us right now. We're sitting at about 500 people listening to us today. So it was an interesting topic that I think people really wanted to just get a kind of a bird's eye view and at least our perspective on, the whole listing. And, so I'm thinking of a realtor, you go out to the property and you're trying to, sell the seller hey, let me list your home. And, they want to see, to some degree, some of these, sellers want to see a marketing plan. What do you have envisioned? What do you see fit? How can you sell it for how much? And, there is a situation, especially what Vince is talking about now when we're going into a market where, stagnation, maybe in the winter time right now, you really want to make that house pop. So let me ask you that question. Do you see yourself more busy in the winter versus the summer, or how does that flow throughout the year?
Well, like last winter, for example, it was really busy. I stayed busy last winter. I'm hoping it's going to be the same thing this year. But I would say in the summer month, that's when I'm the busiest, because that's when most kids are out of school. They don't have to worry about travel. It's travel time, yes, but they don't have to worry about the children. So now they can focus on cleaning, decluttering, and getting out of there, but listing their home for sale. So summertime is definitely, spring and summer are the most busiest months.
Got it. I would think in the summer you have more competition
last year.
Yeah, I would think in the summer, obviously with more homes on the market, you're called in to try to make this one stick out over the next one. But then in the wintertime, when there's less buyers and less sales, I need this house to really pop, because if there is that 1 or 2 buyers that is interested, I need that house. So I can see where it could be cyclical. I can see where the need for staging is just a part of the process. I think we have one comment here.
Yeah, just a
Great
part of the
energy.
process.
Learned a lot in just a few minutes. Appreciate you, Danny. Appreciate you listening today. We had some technical issues, but all good. We made it through. But Monique, why don't you give your contact information? How does someone reach out to you?
Absolutely. So you guys can reach me. I'm going to give you my number here, which is 708-261-5384. You can also visit my website at www.𝐂𝐻𝐿, that's COUTURE.
Why don't you know what? If you want to put it in the chat, Monique, just go ahead and put it in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah, if you could put, Monique's going to put her contact information in the chat. I know we've had a little bit of technical issues. I got through it though. I got the grasp of it. What about you, Vince?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a couple things, right? Make sure the couch goes on the longest wall in whatever room it is in. Don't put it on the short wall. Other than that, it was interesting to have this conversation. The staging is important, but as we said here, it's part of the cost of doing business. And the stats show that if you stage your home, you sell your house faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, better than taking out a 50-year mortgage, right?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that at some point in time. I know. I threw you an email earlier today about it. So, for the audience, it's not a good idea. We'll get into the specifics, but it's not a good idea.
Yeah. No. I think maybe a Monday. If you got some time on Monday, that'll be a good convo. We can get into the 50-year mortgage and then the no minimum credit score for the.
Neither one of them are good, but we'll get into both of them on Monday. But Monique, thank you very much for joining us today. And thanks to the audience for listening to us.
Guys.
Yeah, as soon as it pops up here.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We're here Monday through Wednesday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Like I said, you can reach us either on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. We go over a variety of things, so we try not to bore people necessarily, but we try to give them good information. I thought staging was good. I really appreciate this first time really talking to a home stager. It makes so much sense now. I have clarity on just what to do from a seller perspective. And I just be transparent. I mean, I sold property, and thanks really to my wife, but she was the one that went in there and she was making all those runs, right? All that Target and Walmart buying different things and, kind of self-staging for ourselves. And it did make a difference. But I mean, wow, how much more time could we have saved and just the cost if maybe we just had a professional do it, because then we ended up having all these things and we're like, okay, well, now what are we going to do? We bought all these things.
Yeah. And we're not bringing it to the new house. What are we doing with it?
What are we doing?
Hey, her contact info is in the private chat, so maybe you can copy it over, Dante.
Okay, so let me try to do that. Private chat. I see it. Good eye, Vince. Okay, where are you? I'm gonna go to comments. I'll put it right here. Boom, boom. So let's put that right there. So yes, this is Monique's contact information, 708-261-5384. 708-261-5384. Do you have a website, Monique? Can you type in the website as well?
Yeah, it's there too. Yeah, it's there too. Yeah, it's there. It's www.𝐂𝐻𝐿.net.
Yeah. So let me put this here for everyone that is watching and you wanted to reach out to Monique. Let's make sure that you have that capability of doing that. And let me get this here. And boom.
Perfect.
Yep.
You're on your own tomorrow, bud.
Yeah, Jess is going to be here tomorrow.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so
you can start that 50-year and removal of the credit score with Jess. She'll give you a good operational opinion as to what that's going to really do to the marketplace.
Yeah. So I'll be with Jess Ford tomorrow. That should be interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about some of that. Obviously, the government shutdown looks like it's finally coming to an end. Right before military was not going to get paid, but I guess they are now. So we'll have that all situated. So we can talk about some of that. And You know, it was funny, you know,
Mhm.
just something for you, Vince, is just the concept that, you know, the government shutdown brought in lower rates, and then we thought they were going to kind of just keep going low, low, low. And then, you know, Jerome Powell kind of halted it and said, well, we can't keep going lower until we have more information. Like, we're just not randomly just going to go. And then it spiked it back up again. So it's not going to be a straight line.
It's not going to be a straight line. There was a small little pause. I mean, again, at the end of the day, 60% of Americans are sitting at 4% or lower. You're not going to be selling your house until you're ready to.
Exactly.
There's no way around that. No 50-year mortgage is going to help that. No removal of the Fannie 620 credit score is going to help that. And that's just what it will always be.
It's an interesting saga as the saga continues. Monique, thank you once again. We are done for the day. Back to work we go. To all our veterans, happy Veterans Day to you. Appreciate your service. Obviously, I did a whole salute to my grandfather, the late, great Selwyn Wilson. He was a Tuskegee Airman. So appreciate all the veterans out there. All right, guys. Take care.
Take care, bud. Thanks for joining us, Monique. Bye-bye.